Triumph, Allied Forces, 9 tracks, 38 minutes, the 5th studio album of the Canadian hard rock band, released September 1981 by RCA, TML and Attic Records. Produced by the band, recorded at Metalworks Studios in Ontario, Canada. 4 singles were released in Allied Forces, Fight the Good Fight, Magic Power and Say Goodbye, taking out number 23 in the US. This is considered to be the band's signature record.
Okay, Triumph, another one of the great underrated Canadian rock bands that should have been much bigger than they actually were. This album was sandwiched between 2 absolute classics, Progressions of Power and Never Surrender, and the album more than holds its own with those 2 as well. I haven't heard this in many years, but revisiting it, the first thing that got me is, bloody how good is Rick Emmett on guitar? The guy is fantastic. And I had to remind myself again that, in the tradition of great Canadian rock bands, it's a 3-piece. I mean, this thing sounds huge and it's a 3-piece. It's just great straight-ahead rock album, and for me it's a very enjoyable listen because it's right up my alley. The band manages to throw a few twists and turns into the sound in the album.
Couldn't fucking find it.
He was just going through it. I'm like, I knew I did it. Desperately trying to find before you finish up.
Yeah,
so it's got
under stress out.
So it's got progressive rock leanings in Ordinary Man. Then it's like straight into listening to like something like Thin Lizzy meets Led Zeppelin, and the solo section. Holy shit, what a great solo section, that song. Hot Time sounds like something that Chuck Berry would have done in the 50s. They've just updated the sound on it. And of course the great melodic hard rock track, Fight the Good Fight and Fool for Your Love, just straight ahead melodic hard rock. This album's got a bit of everything in there for me. I really enjoyed it. Allied Forces put Triumph on the map for a good reason, because it's just a good, enjoyable listen. Like I say, it shouldn't be much bigger than they were. The album is so balanced, and it's very little, it's very well balanced, and there's a lot on there. I mean, from little acoustic bits, little poppy ballads, and it's got a bit of everything in it for me. Special mention for me goes to Ordinary Man, which is the standout track for me here. This track it's got all the prog leanings like I mentioned before. It's got bands like their compatriots Rush looking over their shoulder, because it's one of those albums that people should have actually checked out. I mean, you've really got to be a hardcore fan to really know Triumph. I love them. It truly is an important band in rock history. Sadly overlooked by many, like I said. I'd describe Triumph as a cross between Kiss, Journey, and Rush in a way.
Okay.
Guitar. This is a guitar band. This is a guitar band that's got heart, no doubt about it. Ordinary Man, Fool for Your Love, Allied Forces, Magic Power, Fight the Good Fight, and I gave it 8.5 out of 10.
Wow. Cool.
Okay. After I found my notes, I can
frantic. Fuck.
Yeah, the joys of writing pen to paper. Sometimes you can't even fucking see what you write. So, it fits that 70s, 80s stadium rock thing. Look, commercial enough to be on mainstream radio, but I disagree with what you say. I find the reason why this band didn't or weren't big, I mean, they were in the pocket, but didn't take over because they were just trying to copy too many bands. I hear so many bands that they're just trying to emulate on this album, whether it be early Whitesnake or Boston or even some Heart and bits and pieces. I just don't hear enough originality for them to be a top tier player. I thought the songs were okay, but not great. Again, it's one of those ones where the vocals do suffer. It's passable, but nothing fantastic, and I find that's another weak link in the reasons why this band weren't. Yeah, they were in a small pocket of success, and they sort of disappeared.
Lineup changes too over the years as well.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's second tier stuff to what was going on then, and with bands that were doing far better and greater stuff, if you ask me.
You look at this in 1981, and there's a lot going on in 1981.
Jeez, this doesn't even compare to what was going on, to be honest with you. Look, Aerosmith, there's so many bands. I just felt like they were ripping off bands that were actually either ahead of them at the time or actually were having a better career, and just trying to grab on the coattails. But let's try and write an Aerosmith song or try and do this and try and do that. Who were they? What was their sound? I didn't really hear it. Fool for Your Loving was probably the song that stood out for me overall. The production wasn't that great for me. It was very MIDI, I found. It just had a lot of mids, not a lot of bottom end.
Yeah, it's dated.
I don't see the big deal about this band, to be honest with you, at all. 6 out of 10. It's only because the songs are okay. They're not the worst thing I've ever heard, but not anything that was great at all.
Cool.
I did the review and then my laptop died, so I had to do some reviews again. and I enjoyed this more the second time round, so it's probably good for the band that the laptop did break down. It's not terrible, but on my first listen, it just sounded a bit dated, and it was very tame for my taste. Musically, it's good, though I have heard very similar, probably what Mick was going on about. Lyrically, it didn't do much for me either. It's not bad, it's not great. I just gave it 6 out of 10. Fool for Your Love's a good song, and Petite Etude, I think that's an instrumental if I remember rightly. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, this one struggled to hold my attention from start to finish. It did sound, as has been covered before, very tired and very dated. Yeah, just that kind of, big rock sound and, all the things that we've heard before, but not done poorly, but certainly done better. On the plus side, these guys are very good musicians. That does come through, and guitar playing especially is fantastic. But yeah, unfortunately, like it would have almost been better if it was bad, because then we'd have something to talk about. It's not bad. It's not anything offensive, but it's certainly just sitting in the, as Mick said, it's in the pocket. Yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Fool for Your Love is probably the standout for mine. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a big history with the band. I did enjoy it, but without going over the same old ground, found the same problems. A bit date stamped, and just it just lacked something for me. I put down trying to find bands that I sort of said them to. So it's trying to be sort of Rush or Queen, but it's not there. So I certainly wouldn't dare put them in that category. But that's
not even close.
Sort of what they're trying to get to. So it's just sort of lacking something that's sort of hard to put your finger on. I think maybe it was lacking a bit of grit or aggression. I mean, hard rock music's supposed to be kind of dangerous, and this. And angry.
It's
and it's not safe, and it felt... Yeah, well, I actually put it was leaning a bit Christian rock for my liking. It was probably getting too harsh, but...
Canadian rock.
Yeah, Canadian rock probably a better term. But the performances are damn good, but it's not something that's going to stick with me long term. I gave it 7 out of 10 as well. The highlights were Fight the Good Fight, Allied Forces, Magic Power, and Ordinary Man.
I'm not your buddy guy.
Now, cure the South Park references. We've still got Rush to do after this as well. This band only rings vague bells for me. This, like you were saying, you've got to be like the hardcore fan to know about this band. They do get washed out, and there's probably a reason for that when you break it all down. When I went and did some research, it was surprising, while Jimmy's in the corner over there, to find out that Sebastian Bach touring for vocals for them in 1993.
Oh, really?
Fuck.
Yeah. Jesus.
They've also amassed 18 gold and 9 platinum awards across the US and Canada. So they're a bit more appreciated than maybe the wider people or us think of.
It was short-lived.
It
was short-lived.
Yeah. This album captures that odd tie where the 70s and the 80s sort of cross over.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of the 70s about it, but also seems a little bit ahead of the time. Like, that's what you're saying. Like,
it's
they're
a cross
really
between 70s and 80s.
That vortex. When the 70s and 80s crossed over, you lose people. People didn't like everyone was trying to be the next thing, but didn't want to leave behind what they'd done before. So it was all that weird middle ground. As has been mentioned, the guitar work, the solos, the riffs, that sort of stuff, that was fantastic on this. They completely, while Caesar loses this shit again, enough. But as has been said before, this puts me in mind of what I consider to be the Canadian vibe. There's just something about bands from the region. There's catchy hooks, nice use of synth, an added accent and things. I don't know. It's a cross between heavy and soft. It's really finely balanced for the most part, though. I thought, Caesar, enough. If you don't like it, let me finish what I'm saying first. He listens to most of the albums with me, so I guess he's got his point to prove as well. Enough. It's got some cool use of the blues in this, though. I thought that was really well done. Caesar, enough. Stop. Come here. He won't go to you. Production is a bit dated, but it does hold up okay compared to other releases of the era. This smokes those, though, for like in a lot of other respects from the 1981 albums. I think this holds up a lot better than a lot of the other ones do from that time frame. It is certainly time-stamped, but I think in comparison there are ones that have gone a lot worse over the years than this one has. I think the guitar tones and the vocals are well presented, as is the bass. The reverb is used well, gives us nice depth. Lyrics are straight out of the era, though. Like, the complete... If you don't like that era, this will not change your mind at all. If you do like that era, you're going to love this sort of stuff. It's a party album with more serious moments added here and there. It's pump you up sort of fun stuff for the most part. It's typical to 80s rock or metal in that regard. Track order flows well. I like the little use of Foley and acoustic sort of tracks to break things up a bit more. Some of it's really dated, though, due to the effects they employed at different points in this. Like, you can just tell, like, there's these digital weird things that sound like coming from fucking video games and stuff. You're sitting there going, oh, fuck, Frogger, like, Frogger kind of thing. It's just weird. That doesn't hold up well today.
No, it's
Yeah, they 1.5 minute air raid.
Yeah, that was weird. That was like Space Invaders kind of
that-
territory. That was bad.
That kind of got me.
Yeah, but I thought overall it was relatively easy to take in and repeat listens. I like the big power ballad in the second half of the album. I thought that was really well placed.
Yep.
But the more I spent this, I found myself enjoying it more. It's one of those ones where the midpoint, it really hits its straps. Like, the first half of the album doesn't really do much. When you hit the middle of the album, it's like, okay, now we're into what this band is more about. So whilst it may lose you at the start, if you get to that point, it does do things for you. I didn't think there were any bad songs. They just find a bit of an extra gear after that part of the album, which isn't all that uncommon when you think about it. It happens a lot. I've got some homework to do on this band, and this album actually makes me want to go and revisit them a bit more. It's cool. It's not groundbreaking. It's not the most original piece of work out there, but it's very well done. They are good at what they do. There's heaps of talent, well-written songs, and it's fun. I reckon almost anyone can find something in this, unless we're doing this show. 8 out of 10. Allied Forces, Fight the Good Fight, Hot Time, and Ordinary Man. So you're not on your own.
There you go.
That's okay. All right, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think.
Andrew's right.